So welcome. I'm really pleased because I can tell all the stories about you now. You can the truth, the real truth. Exactly. Well, I know your voice is a bit done, but I expect you just want to, just tell everyone about the trip you had. I mean, huge amounts of people, everybody wanted a hug. Everybody was sending their love to you, and it was just an amazing opportunity to help people to wake up to what's going on, and people are waking up. I was with 107 and Mark Z. We did a short show, Just Live. And, we were saying that we'd felt the shift a couple of weeks ago where the tide turned. The tide has turned. And with the most important thing with what's going on now, the tide has turned. I hope that you've managed to make sure that you are looking after yourself, because nobody else is going to look after you. You need to look after yourself. This is why we've got Adam and James here. And as James will remind you, we're not financial advisors. Fortunately, he'll tell you right now, if that money had disappeared on me 3 years ago, I would have been destitute. But I've taken these guys' advice and I've bought gold, silver, and I know Simon's done the same, because Simon also went through a period of difficulty where he had to liquidate gold and silver, because if you don't control it, they'll choose your destiny for you. That's not. You want to talk? No. Yeah. Spot on. Yes. America was amazing. Thank you so much. No. So I thought we could do a little bit of intel before we turn over to the boys. Let's talk about all the excitement that's occurring, in Iraq. Yes. Have you heard about some of that excitement? I mean, the bit I've heard is that some of the business community are saying to all their leaders, pull your money out of other countries and come back and invest in Iraq. Yeah, that's what I've had this morning. I've had a call to a rallying call from, if you are investing anywhere in the world, take your money out of America. Take your money out of every country you are in right now, come back to Iraq. Things are about to go bang. Yeah, exactly. And I remember you saying a long time, Charlie, why would people need to leave their home country, go and work in another country just to be able to send money back to their parents or their brothers or sisters? Everybody should be about the same. So Mrs. Maybe the start, and those who are in the network, Charlie, know that it's always been about Iraq was always supposed to be the starting pistol. So maybe this is it's great sign. But also remember that when all of these people go back to their home countries, course, the only white people picking fruits in England are from Poland, Romania, and Hungary. Some of you English people are gonna have to get off your backside, pick some fruit. And if I had to, as a child, get back to basics instead of sitting in your Chelsea seat, tractor four-wheel drive, metro guzzling things, traveling everywhere in air-conditioned units, whatever. Get back to reality. This is a reality shake. Yeah. For every single person. Well, I looked at the report on that was 2 years ago, Charlie, and it said that they tried, and the British people didn't want to get up at 5 o'clock and pick fruit, but Polish and Czechs were quite happy to do it. And that was the point. That's what they said. That's why they said we are not discriminated against British people. In fact, they sent out application forms, and I remember it was something like 3,000 application forms, but only 5 people or 10 people returned their form, British people. So I think there is a vision in people's minds about what they deserve. It's a bit like all this business with the bonds, it's like I owed this and reality is, as you know, Charlie, and I know on this journey, we have to do the work and we get rewarded after. And so, this is concept of pay me now, before I do any work. Well, if you're doing good work, you will be rewarded, but show the effort. And I think that's what a lot of people have got to. When you're out there picking strawberries as an example, which I used to pick loads of, there is 2 lessons you learned. Number 1, you're connected to nature. You're connected to Mother Earth. So that's good for your body. Number 2, the more you eat, the less you get paid. Buy your weed. There's an incentive. Exactly. Is that why you always bloody poor then? Oh, I was eating all the strawberries. I had the smallest planet when I went. Wait. Anybody else? The scales, I've never moved on the scales. Used out on the scales. Yeah, well, what we're doing today, we just want to, again, educate people about our journey. Exactly. As you said, Charlie, what we've learned for ourselves. And we actually want to answer the most commonly asked questions that people ask us. So rather than us, I guess saying the same things over and over to multiple, we can say it once and refer people to this video and say, look, this is what we think and our experience of these big questions. Yeah. James, do you want to give us a quick disclaimer before we start? Yeah, it's just, as Charlie said at the beginning, we're not advisors, we've never said we were advisors. We never will be advisors. We'll never tell you what to do. We'll try and convince you one thing or that we just share information with you. And that is it. It's just, how we've helped ourselves and we show you how you can help yourselves. But the ball is in your course, as they say. Yeah. Perfect. Well, I'm just gonna share my, screen. So the first kind of biggest question that we get asked is, this is all great. What happens if the internet goes? And it's a big question. And Therese, I guess with technology, we always say, it's all good until it's not. It's all good when it's working, and when it's not, you soon realize how little you understand technology. Even just, if an email doesn't arrive, I just say, well, send it again. Maybe like buses, one will push the other forward and there'll be a bit of a queue. For us, when we think about the internet going down, we have to really zoom out to the big picture, and we do that quite a bit. Cause it helps us kind of clear our head and not get too stuck in a granular detail, cause that can be perilous. So look, if the internet goes down, first of all, I think my personal opinion is I don't think it would go down for very. And the reason for that is our lives depend on the internet, rightly or wrongly. Food deliveries, mail travel, everything, you name it, everything tends to go down. Doesn't go down for very long. And I think there'll be people scrambling around trying to get it back on its feet, whatever that might look like. I just chip, yeah, go ahead, please do. If it goes down this week, it would only go down for 1 to 3 days. There would be an emergency broadcast that would be sent out to everyone to. I definitely don't know. And I'm sure most people wouldn't know, what to do about the internet. If it goes down, it's a tool that we all use when it's there. It's great. When it's not, what do? Turn things on, turn things off again, and kind of hope for the best. Hope for the minds that know how it works to do that. So let's look at how that would relate to, precious metals. Well, first of all, if you only legally own metals, physical metals, they're on your personal balance sheet, you own them then? Yes, it's inconvenient for the internet to go down as far as transacting, but it doesn't change. And it all boils down to this. If you own it, you can weather the storm. And the other side, delivery may not be, an option. So you might not be able to have metals delivered again, because delivery would rely on the internet and things like that. But possibly, maybe we revert back to, the old way of doing things. And you could go and collect metals. So that's always an option. But it all reverts back to this ownership and the fact that it being physical. It would be, I think, difficult to sell metals at that point because, who knows what price, the global price of gold and silver are. There's no internet, we're not getting information. But if you own the metals, then you own them, you can weather that storm when everything, is kind of up and you've still got them there. I think it's worth as well, relating this, to a bank. If you put your money in a bank, paper, money in a bank that is purely digital, there is nothing physical behind it. And the internet goes down. Well, what can you do? You don't own it in the first place, it's only digital. Can it be wiped off? It could. It's a definite possibility, far more likely that something digital is wiped out than something physical. Let's put it that way. I just want to share as well, one, really quick story that happened to my wife, last week or the week before, and her grandma was sending her some money, and, the money arrived in her account. And then, my wife moved it to another account just cause she wanted to put it in a savings account or whatever. And then the bank emailed my wife and said, the money that you've moved, you now owe us that money back. My wife said, well, I've moved it. I've not done anything out. I've not taken a loan out on it. It's not an overdraft. I've just physically moved it from one account. And the bank said, well, the money's been sent back to the recipient. And she said, okay, but I can see a positive balance in my account. She said, no, the money's definitely been sent back. And at which point I said, well, how can this money be sent back? And also, still be in her account? It can't be in two places at once unless it's been duplicated. And when you start to pull on this bit of string, the whole thing starts to unravel. It's not physical. There's nothing there in the first place. They just type in the numbers into your account and it shows that you have this money, and they can send it back and they can put it in someone else's account, and they can do it multiple times. So that really, or nerved is even more. We know all this stuff happens, but to see it face to face and the banks say, yes, it's in your account and yes, we've sent it back. Those two things, have happened at the same time. So should the internet go down or should the internet stay up? There's still strange things that can happen with banks because you don't own the money. You don't control it in the first place. Just one thing to add to that, Adam, is have a physical copy of it too. Rather than just digital, have a physical copy of your holding. Always a good thing. That's what we do well on a monthly basis. We just, print off a physical copy of our holdings, which is another, So if everything was to go down, at least you've got a physical copy of it, on Word installed the details. Yeah. So it's just about backing